Welcome to Cable's Water Ski Park here in Penrith, Western Sydney. It's the final round of the APWA Hydrocross Series. We've got 160 competitors in 13 divisions. Conditions absolutely picture perfect. The weather brilliantly hot, and you can expect the action to be the same. Conditions absolutely picture perfect here at Cable's Water Ski Park in Penrith, Western Sydney. With me in commentary, Tim London, a man who has been involved in the preparation of quite a few of these craft. Now, Tim, these things are quick. These are the stock runabouts, a very popular class.
Yeah, very popular. It's quite affordable for most of the riders. Keith Mead would be a one to watch in this class.
Well, let's have a look at this action as it unfolds. Now, this is an artificial circuit that's been laid out on the ski park, and as you can see, these things are not slow. The idea is the course is laid out through the buoys, and I suppose the whole shot ultimately is what you're looking for in order to get yourself some nice clean water and keep out of all of the dramas that can unfold in any form of motorsport. Tim, as far as the craft are concerned, what kind of money are you looking at to get yourself in at this level?
At the stock runabout level, you're looking at around about 12 to 13,000. Basically, the skis are stock with only a few bolt-on bits.
Okay, so in essence, everyone can assume that they're racing against fairly equal machinery. It somewhat comes down to technique?
It's definitely technique and rider skill. It's a novice class for the new style rider, and it's under 90 horsepower class.
Okay, under 90 horsepower. Well, certainly 90 horsepower would do you well in this game. That's Keith Mead, who's out in front, and gee, he's got himself a bit of a break. I suppose also one of the key things with this game is to stay aware of where everyone else is, but also, how do you find the clean water? What's the trick here? Are you looking for smooth glass water or possibly a bit of chop?
You're mainly looking for the good water to keep the ski hooked up. If you can keep that ski hooked up, you've got the free water. Like Keith Mead definitely has the advantage at the moment. He has got no jet wash to drive in.
Well, let's have a look at some of the runners in this particular class. Machine 13 is Suzanne London. You've got Stephen Thompson, Machine 30, Jeff Core 37, and our man out in front, 197, is Keith Mead. Well, have a look at this. Having said that, we put the mocker on him with Murray Walker, the poor boy. He's in trouble. Now, they really do recover quickly, don't they? I mean, given that you find you've turned in too quick, too hard, it's simply a matter of just get the balance back and get out there.
Yeah, he has to give way to a rider though. If he spins out, he has to give way if a rider's behind him, unless he has a clear enough lead. As we can see, he's probably back into second place now.
Well, it certainly hasn't taken long to chop this water up. Have a look at this. These guys certainly getting some air, and one of the key parts about this game surely is you've just got to have a bit of fun, haven't you? You've got to want to get in there and give it a go.
You definitely got to be aggressive, but the ultimate game, especially with the stock craft, is to enjoy yourself. The Polaris craft is reasonably dominant in this class, mainly due to the three-cylinder engine.
Well, it seems that there's plenty of classes to get yourself involved in, and surely this is the place to start. Get yourself into a standard sort of class. What kind of points do you lose for knocking about these boys? It seems to me that the markers are really copying it. They're on their last lap. This is a big run here, and you've got to hand it to Tony Wolfram. He has, well, managed to be in the right place at the right time. We lost Keith Mead. He's sitting back in second place, recovered to grab second. Suzanne London sitting in third. This is a great performance from her. As you can see, she's well and truly got the thing wound up, and the chop just continues to get worse throughout the race. So by the time you get to the last lap situation, you really are starting to see some air from under these things. That is Tony Wolfram. Look at him. He is in charge of this one. Certainly was in the right place at the right time, inherited the lead, and has hung on for victory. Great run from him. It looks like Keith Mead will get up for second, and in third place, Suzanne London. Welcome back to Cable's Water Ski Park here in Penrith. As you can see, the weather absolutely brilliant for water sports, and we have Tim London with us as we're about to get underway with the limited skis. Tim, these things can get pretty gnarly.
Yeah, they're a stand-up ski where the rider has to actually stand up, so they're very physical to ride.
Waiting for the start. Let's see who gets away. As you can see, it is a big field. The start, all important. The bars have gone down. Everyone looking for some traction. I suppose you call it traction. action on water as they charge on down to the first buoy. Have a look at this. 3 wide. Who will get it? Oh dear, oh dear. Well, that was Scott Hunt, 96, who got to the buoy first, but he's certainly not going to leave the buoy first. Colin Richardson there, 17 on screen. This is absolutely electric. Have a look at this. Talk about action. I don't think these guys fully expected it to go like this on the first couple of corners. Tim, it's a different style for these guys. They really are physical.
The stand-up ski is a very physical ski to ride. Unlike the runabout, it takes a lot of rider input.
Let's have a look at this. Richard Pulowski's going hard here. You can see he's absolutely diving into the corners. A little too hard by the look of it. Hangs off the back. Now we have a new leader already up into it, Jeff Cannon. So Jeff Cannon riding machine number, or is that letter X? Either way you look at it, he's very stylish out there. Not chewing up the water quite as much as the rest of them. Once you're in clear water, I suppose it's easier to see where you're going. The buoys, the different colour buoys indicate left and right of that particular buoy. He's looking pretty strong. The race is not very long, only 4 laps, so it's very much a matter of just pull the pin and get on with it. He's got himself a decent break at the moment, but just look at the angles of lean. This really is motocross on water. It's called hydrocross for a very good reason. That's Cannon out in front, and you can see just how tough this has to be on the knees and the legs. Really, what kind of training do these guys do for this, Tim?
A lot of guys do some running and weight training. It's very hard on the back, actually, to stand up ski, because you've got to hold that pole up while you're riding. You can see the rider actually leans over, and that's what really hurts your back.
It seems to me that the name of the game definitely has to be fitness in this, and the ability to find the right kind of line through the chop. Now have a look, as you can see, Jeff Cannon, very experienced. He's not chopping the water up. He seems to be very economical on the ski, and when able, is trying to crouch down and get himself a bit of a wind advantage into the bargain. But the stamina required to do this is enormous. Only 4 laps, but it's got to be pretty taxing. Almost an enduro. As we look now, that's Colin Richardson. He didn't have such a good start, but boy, he's competitive, he's strong, and he's fast. Now, for these particular machines, what kind of modifications do we see in them, Tim?
We're talking limited, which means you have to use a stock engine and only bolt-on extras. No internal engine modification at all.
So it's fairly close to the standard sort of skis that you can purchase over the counter and find yourself out in either the surf or still water anytime throughout summer. I suppose the name of the game is to get yourself up and running and then develop the skills to go further into this sport. As you can see, there are some very varying lines. Now again, you've got 96, that's Scott Hunt, working pretty hard. They seem to submarine okay, come back out. How long will they stay underwater with the engines going? Similar to what we're watching here.
Well, the freestyle guys can actually sub these skis completely underwater and come out. Sometimes they nose dive them. They're just trying to get that tight line into the turn.
Certainly seems to be working for some of them. Others seem to have a few problems. Here at Cables, how deep is the water?
Out in the centre, I believe it's around about 10 foot in the centre, and it varies to the edges.
Okay, Colin Richardson looks pretty strong out here at the moment. Now, I just was going to ask the question, and we also saw that on the vision. Who has the line? When you get to the buoy first, is that it? Is that the controlling factor? Once you've made the buoy first, you own that corner?
Yeah, the guy first to the corner definitely has the pole spot. You have to give way if you're on the outside.
Cannon on screen now, looks strong on their last lap and heading for the flag. Brilliant weather here at Cables. You've really got to pick it for the day, and this has to be at the APWA, the Australian Personal Watercraft Association Series Final here at Cables, and the crowd, well, they're ecstatic. They're seeing some great motorsport on water, and as you can see, our man heading for the flag, a great run from him. Jeff Cannon has grabbed the win in the limited ski. Colin Richardson's going to get up for second, and Scott Hunt heading for third place. Well, this is just a taste of some of the jet ski and runabout action you'll see on Speed Week in the next few weeks. That's all we've got time for this week. Thanks for your company, and on behalf of the team, we'll see you next week on Speed Week. Well, it's spring, and that means summer is around the corner. That means water sports. We've got more of the jet ski action from Cable Ski Park in Penrith. This race about to unfold is the women's runabout. With me in commentary, Tim London. Tim, explain just what's happening here with one of the competitors forced to start without a helper.
Well, that means one of the riders has jumped the start previously, so as you just saw there, she had to start with a dead engine and both hands on the back of the craft.
Now these things are pretty swift, they're allowed quite a few modifications. Above standard, what are they allowed to do with these craft?
Well, they're allowed to have limited modifications, which are bolt-on components external. No internal engine modifications allowed at all.
So they really should be fairly easy to maintain as well. They're not that highly tuned. They've got some pace on board. You can see them making their way around the buoys. Not a lot of laps, so it really does come down to a good start. And unfortunately, if you jump the start and have to start from the rear of field, it is a big handicap to try and overcome. Let's have a look at them. That is Jenny Harker out in front. She looks pretty strong on the ski. Now, Tim, what's the technique with the runabouts versus the stand-up ski? What's the difference?
Mainly the sit-down ski, you have to sit down. It requires mainly a neutral lean on the craft, where the pole ski is stand up and a very physical ski to ride. This ski is mainly upper body, where the stand-up ski is basically lower strength, back strength.
Isn't this a strong performance? Look at Harker here. Now this is one of her first rides out on this ski. She is doing extraordinarily well for what should be an amateur effort. In fact, she's under a lot of pressure. Have a look at this. Here comes Harrison round the outside. It's a big move there, pretty forceful, and I suppose you would expect that. Here it is on replay. Now have a look at how hard it is for the rider trying to overtake. Looking for a line, looking for some good water out there. Almost gets away with it, but that is Jenny Harrison, machine 101. She is pretty forceful out there, Tim. She looks strong on the machine. She's also economical. Oh, having said that, immediately spun out right in front of the cameras. What causes that? How did you manage to do that? Here it is again.
Well, as we can see on replay here, Jenny Harrison coming in. She's right in the jet wash there of Jenny Harker. As she comes into the turn, she's right on the crest of that wash, causes the nose to dip in, and the jet becomes aerated and spins the craft.
Well, if you haven't got any water in the jet, I suppose you're not going anywhere. Looks for traction, gets around and back into the hunt. Well, the race still continues at the front, and for Harker, she's pretty pleased about all of this. It's going her way. You can see her on screen now. As we've said, this is her first real race in this particular class. It's a big performance, but you can bet that Harrison's going to be coming back all guns a-blaze, trying to do something with it. That is Julie Walker, machine 3 on screen. And these are pretty popular. I mean, the bottom line is you can race in this class and you can social in this thing.
Yeah, most of these craft, the people will take them out on the weekend and recreational ride with them, and generally have fun with them, as well as getting out and being very fast on the track.
Well, here's Harker. She's still going for it, and she's working very, very hard at the moment. That is Harrison, though, and she is on the charge. Look at this. This girl is tight round the corners. That's what it's all about. Now, they've got a split course here. Explain just how that works to you.
Well, the riders can choose whether they want to go the inside course or the outside course. As we can see there, Jenny Harrison went for the opposite split to get that clean water hookup, and it's paid off for her.
It certainly has. She's into the lead. That moves Harker back into second position. I still think it's Walker up there in third, but it's easy to see how hard it is to work out exactly where you are on the course at any one time. The chop picks up. Right from the drop, things get worse and worse. They're murdering buoys. Now, what's the story? If you go the wrong side of a buoy, what happens?
If you round the buoy on the wrong side, you have to recover it. If you don't recover it, you'll lose a lap, and the judges are all over the course watching you.
All right, last lap coming up now. So it is still Harrison in the lead. Harker's back in second. Walker in third. It's been a good run here from Harrison. I'm impressed with Walker. She's hung in there for third. But how about Harker? I mean, first time out, she's done so well to be at the front of the field for so long, but our leader, that's Harrison, and she is on the charge. Off to the Worlds. I think she'll do us proud when she gets over there. Judging from her form here, she certainly is strong, and the machine, well, she'll take this machine with her, I gather, Tim.
No, actually, she's got a machine prepped in America waiting for her there. This is actually a borrowed ski, this one she's riding.
I'm glad it's not mine she borrowed. She's giving it a hard time out there. All right, so that is your leader, Harrison, heading for the checkered flag. She's done it the hard way, but boy, she's done it well. Gets across the line to grab the win, and Walker will grab third, but it's Harker who's put in a strong ride here into second place. This is a big performance from her. I think she's got a huge future in this particular game. There's Walker getting across for third, and all three of these girls have done very, very well out there. So it's Harrison, Harker and Walker in the Gosford Yamaha Women's Runabout. Okay, time now for some more jet ski action from Cable Ski Park in Western Sydney. This is a big field, 15 of them lined up in the limited sport race. And I think, Tim, it is going to be tight at the front.
This is going to be bedlam into the first turn. If you don't get out into that first corner up the front, all you are going to see is white water.
Well, it's got to make it hard. I mean, not only do you have to contend with your own problems, but have a look at this. They accelerate like top fuel dragsters. Boy, oh boy, they have really gotten up to speed quickly. And how would you be if you're in the middle of this lot? It looks like a blender out there at the moment. Let's see who's who in the zoo. I think Fred Watson's looking pretty strong at the moment. Machine 6 back in second place. We've got Keith Campbell. Now, limited machines. Tim, what kind of modifications for these guys?
Bolt-on mods only, e.g. exhaust systems, heads and carburetors. No internal engine mods allowed at all in limited class.
So you'd hope that maintenance fairly low on these machines. What about fuel? What are you allowed to do fuel-wise for these?
Fuel-wise, you could run on super leaded, or most of the craft out here today would be running on avgas or a VP style fuel.
Well, they certainly are quick. It almost looks like rapids out there at the moment. This is a big field, pretty competitive. Now, the machines are a little bit different as well. They're very much motorcycle oriented, aren't they? They've actually got a seat similar to a motorcycle, so you can actually use your feet and your handlebars to try and get the machine into the corners.
Yeah, it's a sports style craft, which means it's more of a motorcycle craft. You can see the riders lay into the turns, they get up over the bars, they work them to hook them up.
Certainly is pretty physical out there when you have a look at them getting up out of the saddle. They're just like we're seeing here. That's fast Freddie Watson. If you've got a handle like that, just as well you're out in front. Well, there's plenty of spray, plenty of water being thrown up around here. Plenty of dramas out here. Tim, have a look at... Oh, look at that, virtually underwater.
Yeah, Andy Lang's just caught on the wave. The racetrack is getting very rough there. The nose spat in, caused him to go left then right, and he's had to recover that.
Looks like he went a couple of metres under from where I was seeing it. That was absolutely huge. These things actually do submarine. It's quite amazing, isn't it? You can put the entire craft underwater, and so long as there's still enough air in the engine bay, you can get the thing back out. Absolutely amazing. Well, that's 77. Phil Ackerman on screen. He's going hard as well. And, oh, here we go, a replay. Now, let's have a look at this, just what happens to Andy Lang. He's gone in for the boy.
He's caught that wave there. It's caused the nose to dip in, ploughed right under in the nose. He's come right into the middle of the course there. He's had to recover it. We can see there he's got the bars crossed right up. Then he's on the wrong side of the buoy. Now he's got to recover. Then he'll have to give way to the rider coming through, which we'll see just coming up on the inside there. Now he can enter the course.
Not a good day, really. Listen, what's the requirement for being able to swim?
Have a life jacket.
Yeah, right there. Tell you what, these guys are working pretty hard out there. I mean, obviously, they're very physically fit. I mean, this is a physically demanding sport. I mean, compared to motocross or supercross, I really can't see the difference. This is absolutely awesome. Look at the spray being thrown up by these craft. I mean, you've got to be talking, what kind of horsepower? 80 odd horsepower or more?
And these craft here will be pumping out 100, 105 horsepower.
Well, if you compare that to any sport motorcycle that's available throughout the world, that is right up there. This is a big run here from Fast Freddy. Definitely earned the name, no doubt about that. And the course just seems to get worse and worse as the race goes on. These guys would be super keen to see the last lap flag, surely.
Yeah, we can see the race is getting very rough now with the 15 boats there. The water conditions are getting very choppy. Riders have to work them hard. And there's Fast Freddy actually having a spin there from the race leader.
Well, Fast Freddy folds under pressure. Let's have a look at it. Here it is on replay. Look at how hard this has got to be to work out exactly where you are on the course. He is in there, trust us, and there he pops out and immediately goes in, what, a 180-degree turn and looks for traction. The thing's spewing water all over the place, and he's sort of in a bit of no man's land at the moment, hoping that no one manages to grab him. They're on their last lap, big charge for the finish, and Fast Freddy, well, here he is. He's got it all back together and in charge of this one. One thing is for sure, this has got to be a mile of fun for the whole family. I mean, it's not just a matter of the competitors. You can actually get out there and have a bit of a run on the machines whenever, and they don't just have to be used for competition. Big performance here. This is the limited sport. Believe it or not, they've actually got faster ones than this. We'll be getting to them a little later on in upcoming shows on Speed Week. But the checkered flag goes out for Fast Freddy. He has taken it ahead of Keith Campbell, and Andy Lang, who we saw earlier, has taken out third. Okay, time now to catch some jet ski action. We're at Cable Ski Park in Western Sydney. With me in commentary, Tim London. Tim, a perfect day for motor racing.
Yeah, as we can see, the sun is shining, it's beautiful, and here come the big runabouts.
Okay, let's have a look at this. Who gets the good start? I reckon in this game, anyone who can get to the front in the first couple of corners has got to be in good shape as they roar off the line. Plenty of horsepower here. You can see that the spray kicked up by the guys out in front has got to make life absolute misery for those a little further afield. We'll look and see who is out in front at the moment.
Looks like Ian Stevens there in front in the pink helmet. He's quite an experienced rider in the pro field as well as the limited class.
How many of the competitors actually run in different classes? I mean, arrive with different skis, different equipment?
There's a handful of riders that have different class boats. Probably half a dozen have limited boats and mod boats. Some have stock boats as well as limited boats.
This looks pretty big out here. Look at this, man. Try and work out who's who, and you're better than us. Either way, it looks like a mile of fun out there. Now, to the novice, how do you control one of these things? Throttle, what's it like? Twist grip? How does it work?
It has a trigger throttle. If you had a twist throttle, when you hit the water, you'd be pulling the throttle on instead of backing off. That's why they use a trigger throttle, and you have to be very responsive on the throttle in the turns.
Well, it certainly seems it's similar to virtually any form of motorsport. You've got to have the eye-hand coordination. You certainly have to have the skill level up there. Balance, absolutely critical. Now, a lot of these guys, Tim, are wearing pretty specific safety gear. Explain just what the back braces and the knee braces and leg braces are about.
Well, the leg braces are the main safety aspect because most of the impact on these craft are around that gunnel area. So when the craft actually starts to gunnel rub, it protects the rider's legs from getting pinned into the hole. Just like race car drivers wear race suits, these riders wear the leg guards and the back braces.
Well, you can't beat safety in any form of sport, and ultimately everybody wants to go out and have a fun day. It certainly seems to me that that is exactly what's going on out there. We have Ian Stevens still in the lead. Now, right at the moment, he's a couple of boys ahead of virtually anybody else. And I would say, from his point of view, it's just a matter of trying to keep the concentration level up and not be affected by what's going on around you. Peripheral vision's quite good with the helmet, so it's a bit hard to sort of get the tunnel vision in there. What is the tactic, Tim, when you're out in front? I mean, is it just head down, or can you try and balk the person behind by upsetting the water for them?
Basically, if you've got a lead like Ian's got at the moment, he'd be mainly just looking ahead, looking for the clean water, trying to stay out of the rough water. As we can see, getting very turbulent now in the back markers, and just glancing at the tight turns to see where the other riders are behind him.
Well, he certainly seems to be doing okay right at the moment. As you can see, this game really does get worse and worse as the laps roll on here. In fact, they're starting to get a lot of air. How does the machinery put up with this? Do we have failures in equipment purely from the vibration and the stresses out there?
Not really. Most of the craft are very durable. They're designed for this constant barking and aeration, so they do handle a lot of punishment out there.
Well, the machines might be handling the punishment. If it was me out there, I'd be exhausted already. As you can see them getting plenty of air. Not only air, but the key surely has to be is to get the machine turned in, get it steady, and then look for water for the jet to get out.
Yeah, you have to take good lines into the water, into the turn, and try and stay out of the jet wash of the rider in front. As we can see, that rider there, 466, just got caught on the jet wash on the rider in front, right on the turn there.
Yeah, well, seeing Darryl Kemp there, 466, really did get hurt there as a result of not being able to get some water for the jet. What kind of RPM are these guys turning?
Most of these are low RPM units for a two-stroke. They'll run at approximately 7,000 RPM.
So there's a fair bit of life to the engines, let's say, that they're not that badly stressed, similar to a Grand Prix motorcycle, I mean.
Yeah, well, the difference being mainly in a motorbike, you have gears, so they can really use the top-end RPM. These craft don't have any gears at all, and they have to be very torquey and a lot of acceleration.
Stevens on screen and still in charge of this one. Now, Tim, you want to get involved in this game? How do you go about it?
Well, basically, you have to join an association. So you get in touch with the Australian Personal Watercraft Association, they not only do racing, they also have family, fun days and cruise days. So there's a whole lot that the family can do.
Okay, now what kind of money to buy myself one of these pieces of equipment?
Well, to get started with a base entry level one, 10,000, 11,000 gets you going and gets the family having fun.
Certainly seems like a mile of fun on their last lap. Stevens in control, and somewhere in there is second place. We'll have to have a look and see just exactly who's running in second, but Stevens has just blown them away here for the lead. He's been in control right from the drop. As you can see, he's now starting to possibly get a little bit tired. He's starting to go wide on the boys. That'll make a difference for you. But equally, everybody else out there is pretty well under a lot of pressure. Now, he's using the split course. He's actually gone for, what, the inside part there, yep.
He's on the inside course. We can see the race is getting a little rough towards the end. So he's in control. He's backed off the pace just to hold that lead. He doesn't want to let it slide.
No, obviously, he's just going now for the finish. And you can see that no matter where you are in this field, you still have to put up with this tough water. That's Machine 101, Jenny Harrison. We've kind of done her a bit of a disservice talking about all the boys out there. She's been going hard, but nowhere near as hard as Stevens. Gets across the line and has taken out victory here in the Action Watercraft Limited runabout. Chris Derring is going to get up for second. I tell you what, Tim, this is a mile of fun.
It's great fun out there, and you can see as the water gets really rough, the riders really enjoy it.
Okay, time now for some jet ski action. This is the Pro Modified class. With me in commentary, Tim London. Tim, over 20 machines lined up, ready to roar. This'll be big.
Yeah, it's a big race in the Pro Mod class. We can see the riders actually have holders so they can hold the craft out of the water to clear the water out of the exhaust to get lightning fast acceleration.
Just have a look at the speed of these machines as they make their way to the first buoy. I tell you what, this is tough racing. Very, very similar to motorcycle racing mixed in with maybe a skateboard. There's quite a few different styles out there, and this has just got to be hard on the back. Look at these guys as they battle for position, and we have some real charges in this field. Tim, who are the guns in this class?
Yeah, I'll be looking at 17 there on screen, Colin Richardson. He was a good performer in the limited ski and come out in the Pro Mod ski. Julius Hanisch on 103, also doing exceptionally well there, along with Scott Hunt there on 96. They'll be the front runners, I'd say.
Certainly seems angles of lean a lot higher on these particular type of stand-up skis. The key surely has to be is your fitness. I mean, if you can't go the distance, you're not going to be able to do it at any form of speed. This looks very, very difficult out there. Now, we've got a rider with a bit of a problem. Was that a missed buoy that he's going to have to clean up, or has he decided to go to the wide side of the circuit?
Yeah, he just got a little bit bewildered as to where he was. He was actually still on the right track, but he just thought he'd lost his way, looked behind, realised he was in the right spot, kept going. That's the race leader, Julius Hanisch.
He seems to be doing okay now. I suppose it is very easy to get disoriented as to where you are in the world as regards to where the buoys are. Now, you've got two different coloured buoys. What's the reason for that?
Well, the red buoys are to be kept as a left turn. The yellow buoys are a right turn. As you can see, the rider's now negotiating.
Certainly looks like hardjacker out there for anybody who's ever thought about going jet skiing, possibly ex-motocross, supercross races. I think this has got to be the game for you. Replay now. Now, what happens here? The thing just bogs down.
And we can see Mark Zamisa going into the turn, got the gas right on, starts to lay the ski over, just lays it just a little bit too hard, falls off the chime and falls out of the tray.
So we'd call that a front-end lose in motorcycle racing. Either way, eyesights are probably the name of the game in this sport, and you can see how quickly the ski recovers. It's just a matter of get the back in, look for some water and get that jet happening again. Now, the crowd, well, they'd all be sitting here wondering just who is who. At the moment, that is 103, and that is Julius Hanisch. He is in control in the lead. Now, I noticed that they use different equipment for the stand-up skis as far as safety gear goes.
Basically, on the stand-up ski, they don't really get hit in the legs much because you can see the riders have got a bit of tray protection and they're up down all the time. All they need is a back brace and a good PFD. But most of these skis controlled by the legs and the back. As you can see, the riders really pumping those leg muscles.
Certainly are putting some work in. Let's have a look. That's machine 17, Colin Richardson. He's going pretty hard as well. In fact, he's sitting in second place. Geez, picked up some air there. Now, even though when you've got air, it looks spectacular, there's no water for the jet.
No air, no drive. That's the object of the game, is to try and keep that ski hooked up on the water. Try not to bounce it so much, just keep it driving.
Now, just having a look there, our man Julius having a bit of a problem there coming out of that corner. most of the... Oh, have a look at this. We've got a race on here. Richardson up into the lead. Now, he did that so easily. Was that either he was so fast or Julius had a problem?
Julius looks like he's getting a little tired here. We can see he's not quite bending his legs down, getting into the tray. He's standing tall. We can see he's getting very tired now as the water's getting rough. He's not bending down into the tray. He's standing up trying to just roll the ski. Not working as good as Richardson.
Well, the chase is on. Richardson's in the lead. He does look strong, and it's similar to car racing or motorcycle racing. Let's have a look at this. Oh dear, that's not very stylish at all from Julius. He was our leader.
Yes, we can see Julius getting very tired because he's not getting down in the ski. That caused him to roll over and caused him to lose the lead there to Colin Richardson.
Yeah, Richardson's going pretty strong. I think Julius here has a few problems. All he's got to do is try and hang on. He's sitting back in second place. Here comes our man through into third. But Julius here, well, the cameras are on him. He's under pressure. Richardson, though, out in front. I think his fitness is really going to carry him through. That's Andy Geary there. Machine number Z, or is that letter Z? Let's have a look here. I think that is Julius again in trouble. Tim, what's going on here?
Yeah, he's like I said before, he's very tired. We can see he's rolled the ski right over. His head's in the water. He's just not feeling physical enough to get down in that tray and work.
To be honest, it looked like he was heading for a bit of a nap. Either way, he's hanging in and he's doing his level best out there to hang on for this finish. But that is Gadis out there. Now, he looks pretty strong as well. Different style of rider here completely. He's really standing back at the rear of the ski. Any advantages in that?
Yeah, it just depends on the body weight of the rider as to where they want to stand.
Our man Julius has decided to have a little nap again. He's definitely not looking too strong out there at the moment. But it is Richardson. He's been doing very well. Here we have on replay. Now, this is someone who really should be in the pits and having a bit of a think about it all. It's simply gone out of control. He just doesn't have the strength to lift the bar up, and you're a passenger. Nothing you can do about that. Now, he was out in front doing it hard and maybe just a little too hard.
Yeah, Julius is really suffering out there. He just hasn't got the strength to just stay in the ski anymore. He's just going to struggle around just to putt round to finish now.
Okay, looking for a finish is our man Julius, but this guy, machine 17, Colin Richardson, he's done it hard, he's done it well, and he's out in front on the final lap and heading for victory. This is hard yakka. Have a look at these guys. They are all very tired.
You can see stretch that back as his back is really hurting. You can see some of the riders push there to really stretch their back out. Holding that pole up really pulls on the back.
Okay, Julius is back up and running, heading for the finish. There should be a special medal in it for this guy. He has worked super hard. Scott Hunt there on screen. Now he looks pretty strong towards the end of this race. Look at that. He's got the bar up high. His head's up high. He looks pretty good at it. Richardson, though, he's even better at it because he is headed for the finish and victory in this one, the Pro Modified Ski, as the checkered flag comes out. And I would say that the man who has looked forward to this more than anyone else has to be Julius Hanisch as he heads for the finish here at Cables. Okay, time now for some summer sport action. This is jet ski and Pro Modified Sport class about to get underway here at Cables Ski Park in Western Sydney. Well, with me in commentary, Tim London. Tim, big class and some interesting pieces of equipment out there.
Yeah, this is the Pro Modified Sport. These class are fully modified engines with a maximum engine capacity of 780 cc's.
Just have a look how quick they get off the line. They are absolutely flying. Not many laps in this. It's very much sprint pace and it looks pretty frenetic out there already. The water's flying, the white water's being churned up. Now, Tim, tell us a little bit about these type of craft, weight, horsepower and the like.
These are the sport style craft. They're a lean-in craft, very similar to a motorcycle. They're modified so they can pull up to 130 to 140 horsepower out of these craft.
Well, they're certainly fast. You've got to give it to them. Not carrying a lot of weight, a lot of body English from the riders. Look at how hard they're working just to get the machines turned in. They've obviously got to turn them in early, get a set on the machine and then try and drive out. And of course, you're using a jet for propulsion. Ultimately, you've got to keep the thing in the water. They look spectacular in the air, but there's not a lot of water to be had for the jet. Now, in the lead right at the moment, Fred Watson. He looks pretty cool and calm out there at the moment. He's not doing it too hard. Once he's got the brake, Tim, surely that's the name of the game. Get some clear water.
Yeah, once you're out in front, you've got the flat water. You're not riding in the other rider's jet wash. You can actually set yourself where you want to go without the other rider dictating to you which track you can manoeuvre around the boys.
Well, just having a look there, 37, that's Darren Allen. He's going pretty well at the moment, but our leader right at the moment, Fred Watson, he seems to be doing it fairly easily, but surely the physical taxing on the body has just got to be immense in this game. Tim, what kind of training are the riders involved in to try and take this kind of punishment?
Most of the pro riders are pretty serious about their training. They'll work out in the gym, do a lot of push bike riding and a lot of weight training to keep that upper body strength really up there.
Well, it's got to be similar to motocross racing. I mean, upper body strength absolutely crucial to being able to not only hang on for the distance but actually point the thing where you want it to go. Now, noticing these craft compared to some of the more standard machines, it seems that you can get a bigger angle of lean and then just drive on out. They don't seem to be too bothered by semi-submarining.
Now, the horsepower of these is phenomenal, and the things accelerate from north to about 60 mile an hour in the blink of an eyelid, so they can just crank them wide open into a corner and just ricochet out.
Well, you've got to consider that if you were looking at a road racing motorcycle, these things are lighter with only maybe 20 horsepower less, so the power to weight ratio is in fact better than a superbike, so you can well imagine that the forces on the rider very, very strong indeed. And right at the moment, it is our man Fred Watson. He's doing a strong job out in front. That's Andy Lang sitting back a little further. It's a series, isn't it, Tim? So ultimately you're looking for one, reliability, and two, just being able to front with the machine each time and make it finish.
Yeah, the race is held over about 4 heats, so the object is to be consistent and keep your points up there.
Have a look at this on replay. This is absolutely flying, plenty of air, and he is really doing a big job. That is Levin. Look at the angles of lean as he gets the thing in, totally unconcerned with the amount of water that he's gone under. He just wants to get across to that next buoy. Of course, if you miss a buoy, you have no choice but to go back, circle around, and take the buoy the correct side. That can very, very quickly put you behind the 8 ball. Again, having a look here, that is Levin on screen. Nice looking piece of gear. This guy is a charge, probably an ex-motorcycle racer.
A lot of guys do transform from motocross racing because, as you mentioned before, the skill level is very similar. Paul Levin just charging a little hard there into the corner without letting off the throttle. That's what can happen when you start to get a little bit tired.
I don't think that craft's very happy, actually. He was giving it a super hard time, barrel rolled it, kept the gas on, and maybe has ingested a little bit of H2O. That's Lang on screen at the moment, and he is pretty forceful out there as well. Here we have a replay. Now have a look at this. It has flown into the corner, can't get an edge, it doesn't bite, and it sort of barrel rolls. It's keeping the throttle open, but it's not really working. That craft has decided it's going to have a lay down, and virtually does exactly that. Unfortunately, I would say he is out of the game. Paul Levin there, definitely getting submarined. Well, the race continues at the front. In fact, the race continues all the way around the course. Have a look, they really are starting to fight out there. Now, I wonder if he's just getting a little tired. That's Lang. We were just talking about him, but he's quickly remounted. In fact, hung onto the handlebars on his last lap, or at least heading to victory, assuming that he can keep it all together. But it is Watson. He has been doing a big job out in front whilst all this has been going on. Again, have a look at how this occurs. It simply has turned in, gotten too much of an edge, rolled over. How quick is this, eh? Count the throttle open, drag yourself out.
That's a great recovery from Andy Lang there, because these craft, once they tip, are very unstable to get them upright. He's just kept the gas on and pulled himself out of that one.
Well, he certainly worked hard for it. Deserves to be still out in the race. Plenty of action. Gee, the crowd really enjoying all of this action. These pro-class machines, super fast. And they sound so crisp. They really do sound like hotted up two-strokes. And gone are the days of superbike racing where you were seeing two-stroke engines and now seeing them in these machines as they fly across the line. Plenty of action here at Cable Ski Park. The machines are colourful, the riders are spectacular. Watson has taken it out ahead of Andy Lang, and Cordwell gets up the third. Welcome back to Cable Ski Park, Panthers, Western Sydney. These are the big guns, the pro modified runabouts. And machine number 1, Gary London Jr. on the Polaris. He's the defending champion, and we're about to get set for a start. Everyone keen to see just how fast these craft are. Watch for the drag racing start. The white machine is Gary London Jr. blows them away off the start. Now, Tim, tell me a little bit about the horsepower these guys have got.
Well, these are the Pro Mod runabouts, 785 cc's maximum capacity, full tilt motors, Average horsepower on these is at 145 to 150.
Now the best part is they only weigh about 70 or 80 kilos. We've got a rider down. Think about the power to weight ratio. This is in excess of any superbike ridden anywhere in the world. These things are weapon fast, carbon fibre bits and pieces, including hulls. So development here in Australia certainly rivaling the world. Now Gary London Jr. has got the coveted number 1 plate, and for a very good reason. Look at this man in action. He is absolutely flying around the boys. Tim, what is the differences between the Pro Modified and the limited class of machines as far as hulls and handling goes?
Well, the modified craft, as you said before, run lightweight carbon fibre and fiberglass hulls. The limited are standard production hulls. The craft that Gary London's on, that's only new onto the water. It's been out there 1 week. That hull was built in Australia by Formula Marine, and it's just being tested out here today at Cables.
Well, if it's testing, I'd hate to see it when it's sorted. It is absolutely mowing the field down. He is really on the pace. And as you can see, there's plenty of competition for him out there as well. As we look further afield, oh, there's water everywhere. I tell you what, it's got to be hard to lap score this sport. Win, lose or draw, you should be carrying transponders like the Indy cars. This is a great game. For summer, what more could you ask for? A beautiful venue, some super fast motorsport out in front of you. You couldn't ask for a better day out.
We just saw Gary London there, just clipped the boy. We can see it on replay now. The nose is pitched in a little. He's got the handlebars completely cranked the opposite direction. Still managed to recover the boy. That's great riding at high speed, actually. That's why the pro level riders are right up on the pace with this horsepower.
Well, certainly you've got to be quick right at the moment. That is Fred Watson. He's been riding in a couple of different classes as well. Do many of these guys ride, 2 and 3 classes in one day?
Yeah, there's a couple of riders in the pro class that will ride runabout and sport or different level of runabout class just to keep their rider level and fitness up. We can see now as the laps start to churn away, the water is getting really rough. This is going to make it very testing for the riders and their craft and the handling. As we can see, Freddie Watson there bouncing around a lot at the moment.
Well, he certainly is working the machine into the corners. I gather the trick is to try and keep as much speed on board as possible. Chuck it sideways, sort of the Scandinavian flick in water, which is a little bit different, but it certainly seems to work. We've got a problem here. Gary London Jr. has slowed, hand in the air. Gee, that is bad luck. Watson had a bit of a look behind and said, gee, bad luck, pal. On he goes. Now, obviously, there's a drama there. He's having a bit of a look, but either way, our reigning series champion, Gary London Jr., out of the game, and that'll hand it to Watson. Gee, he was pretty keen to take that position from him. Watson's riding hard, and of course, you've got to be there at the finish. That's what it's all about. Look at this. Watson, he is fit, working the machine hard, and just have a look at this on replay. The thing gets sideways. Plenty of air. He's not quitting with this, is he? He is absolutely committed to the corner and doesn't even think twice about it. Gets back on the gas and simply drives himself out of trouble. Now, Tim, with a motorcycle, you've got a real problem with the forces involved in pushing the bars. When you're trying to push a jet ski, how hard is it to push the bars when they're going hard like he is?
The steering isn't quite that hard, but as we can see here, the ski's fully crossed up. It's mainly the impact when you land, because when the craft is in the air, you've got no jet drive, so there's no actual thrust on the steering till the craft lands and wants to spit you out the high side.
Well, one thing's for sure, this is a brilliant class of racing. If you've never seen this kind of racing before, you have got to put this one in your diary for summer. White flag, they are on their final lap. That is your leader, Fred Watson. He is absolutely charging around this course. Now, lap times, the difference between the limited and the pro modified. How much faster are these craft on a good lap?
The average lap will take around about a minute for a limited. The pro mods will probably get it down to around about 45 seconds.
So this certainly is a major difference in the amount of time spent circulating the course. Well, Fred Watson, he's having a bit of a look around to see if there's any competition anywhere near him. Absolutely not. He has got this one blown to pieces. He's actually starting to cruise a little bit, having a think about it. How about pit signals? You've got pit guys showing boards to tell them the situation?
We don't actually have pit boards like the motorcycle races, but a lot of the pit mechanics do get out there, signal to the drivers, to make sure that they know that someone there is behind them. and Freddie Watson would have seen Gary London out of the race, and he would have just started to relax a little then.
Okay, that was James Carr, machine 8 on screen, and he's not doing too badly either, but Fred Watson is the man who has done the big job here, grabs the checkered flag. You'll be pleased with that. A good performance from him. We wait now to see who gets across the line. That is Carr up there as well, and Darryl Kemp manages to get across and pick up third place. Time now to check out the stock runabouts. With me in commentary, Tim London. Tim, this is an interesting class. Basically, it means it's an entry level you can get in, and it's not too expensive to run.
The stock runabout are stock production, out of the box. The only modifications allowed in these craft are impellers, ride plates and intake brake. So it's basically off the showroom craft.
Okay, let's have a look at who gets the whole shot here. Now, it is interesting because the craft are so close in specification that it really does come down to, well, rider skill and rider preparedness to take a few risks out there. Let's see how they settle in. You can see there's a fair bit of chop already on the water. It seems that the races are coming out so quickly, one after another, the lake virtually doesn't get a chance to settle. Now, how often have you been here at Cable Ski Park racing?
We've been through here at Cables a handful of times. It is quite a good venue to race at, and as you said, it is a concrete man-made lake there, and the waves do ricochet and the water does get quite rough.
Well, I suppose similar to swimming, you must find fast circuits and circuits that aren't quite as quick. This one would have to be fairly fast, it's fairly shallow, but either way the chop does pick up pretty quickly. Let's have a look at the action as they make their way around. Again, a sprint race here. Just having a look, we've got machine 69, Jeff Mile, looking pretty strong. He looks pretty comfortable out there. Again, it really does come down to it, Tim, that you've just got to get a clean start and then keep out of trouble.
Yeah, if you get that whole shot, you can get that clean water, you can keep your ski driving, pick the track which you want to go and get out into the good water. The skis then behind you have to negotiate in your jet wash.
Suzanne London there on screen. I notice she's wearing a jacket. Not many of the competitors actually wearing jackets, but needless to say, it doesn't seem to slow her down any. Aerodynamics do come into play, just like in any form of motorsport. At the speeds these are travelling, you really do have to try and tuck down out of the breeze, and no doubt there's a bit of wind chill factor to take into account as well. It was a brilliant day though, wasn't it? I mean, absolutely fantastic weather for it.
Yeah, the sun was shining. Panthers is a great venue. It just gets that little bit of nippiness off the mountains though, and that's why you'll notice some of the competitors do wear long arms just to keep warm there.
Well, we've got 71 on screen, Tony Wolfgram. He looks pretty strong out there as well. You know, it's interesting, isn't it, when you look at the different styles, some elbow out, some tucked down, just depends, I suppose, on training, fitness level, and of course the physical size of the competitor, depending on how they fit into the machine. Either way, the Polarises are very popular, aren't they? I mean, throughout all of the classes, depending on which class it is, but it seems to me that the Polaris ski's very quick.
Yeah, in the stock class, they are quite competitive. You'll notice Keith Mead and Suzanne London both on Polaris there, and always up in the top few pack there. As we can just see there on ski 13, just negotiating that left-hander. Keith Mead there, right in behind there.
Well, it certainly seems that there's plenty of action no matter what the class is here at Cable. And let's have a look at this in slow-mo. Now, just look at the amount of water being displaced by the craft. I mean, it really is a matter of just trying to get some balance on it and then look for the drive. As we've said before, if you're in mid-air, there's no water for the jet. Not only are you not going forward, but you've also got nothing to steer with. It makes life very difficult.
Yeah, you can see you have to try and keep the craft down on the water. If the craft starts to jump in the air, you lose a lot of thrust. You can see Jeff Mail there. He's starting to get a little bit out of shape. His body weight's getting a little bit to the left and right. That'll cause the ski to rock and roll a bit.
Tony Wolfram there, machine 71. It certainly seems that it's very similar to motorcycle racing, as in motocross type racing. Upper body strength, absolutely necessity in this game. As we're heading now for the last lap, the white flag is out. That's Suzanne London there. She's going hard. I suppose as far as the London family is concerned, it's very much a matter of everybody helping everyone else. It really can make a big difference. Those little tricks that you learn, as we've now got our leader on screen and heading for the flag. He's looking strong, Jeff Mile. I'll tell you what, this is a strong performance from him. Have a look at the way he uses body language. Gets off the side of the machine, similar to the way a motorcycle rider does. Uses the legs as well, the upper body strength to steer, the legs to support the body. and he looks good out there. I think this guy should be looking at moving up another class maybe and getting onto something super quick.
Yeah, you'll find that the stock class is where the entry-level guys start. Then they move up to the limited class, which is a little bit more horsepower, which we talked about before. They're add-on parts. Then when they get a little bit more confident, they can get into the pro modifieds. But the stock class is a great class to start out in.
Certainly is, and Jeff Weil gets across the line ahead of Tony Wolfgram, and Suzanne London has picked up a great third place. Good performance from all three. Limited skis getting set for a start. Another interesting class. No shortage of classes, no shortage of competitors. Close to 160 competitors turning up for the final round here at Cables, the APWA Series Final. Tim London, this is always an exciting class, physically very demanding.
Yeah, the field in the limited ski is also big with 15, 16 competitors, and they're very close. Scott Hunt and Kristen de Goodies out of the gate there and pretty close into the turn.
Well, there's some real body language out there, isn't there? Ultimately, this is giving you a bit of a chance to sort of experiment with body language, but as we've seen in a previous race, it is extraordinarily tiring. Very tough on the back, but look at the style of this man out in front. This looks good. It's a cross between, I don't know, motorcycle racing, skateboarding almost, some real angles of lean. Now these machines require an entirely different technique, don't they, Tim?
Yeah, the stand-up skis are a lot of back strength and lower body. They have to really get down in the tray, keep their centre of balance low. Your legs after a few laps here are going to really ache and your back will just give out. That's why you can see when the riders get tired, they'll tend to just stand upright.
Either that or fall over. It'd be one of the two. We've seen a bit of that going on. All right, well, as you can see, there are craft all over the circuit here at Cables, and surely for the man out in front, this is a real bonus. Have a look at this on replay. Just look at the angles of lean. Now that is commitment to a corner, and he has a bit of a glance across and says, yeah, this is working for me. I'm going to stick with this, but this is big action. Again, try and maybe put on a bit of a sprint at the start, Tim, and then make a break and then hopefully rest a little.
Yeah, you've got to go hell for leather into that first turn, as we saw there, where Scott Hunt just coming up the inside of Kristen de Goodies, and he's absolutely just got that edge on him into the straight.
Yes, Goodies stands a little lower on the craft, doesn't he? He's just obviously looking for a little bit of an advantage there, but there is plenty of action out there, and you can see just how hard this game is. We've got Colin Richardson there. Now this is him on replay. Have a look at this. For getting yourself into trouble, that's where we are right now, and then somehow manages to get the jet to drive him out of trouble. He's found some water for it and has managed to pull it off. An amazing performance there. Really rode his way out of drama, and the slow-mo really does show just how hard he's working out there. Quite often with all the spray, a bit difficult to see just what's going on. There's no doubt that man, Colin Richardson, riding very, very hard.
Yeah, 96, Scott Hunt doing a great job out in front. We can see he's down low in the tray. He's working those legs hard into the corners. He's quite smooth here. He's only been riding for about 12 months or so, Scott Hunt, in this type of level, but he's really showing the experienced riders that he's going to be one to look for in the future.
Oh, for sure. How many of the ski riders actually then step up to the runabouts and the larger classes?
Well, you find some of these ski riders that were riding last year are now on runabouts because they know that the runabouts are the big ball machines and they want to be competitive and show that they can handle it with the big stuff. So about half a dozen have stepped out of the ski class
and moved on up into the bigger, more expensive to a degree classes. Now, what about the changeover of equipment? We're on our last lap, so what I'd like to find out is just how you get into this game with equipment. I mean, is there plenty of second-hand gear available when people move up through classes?
Yeah, you'll find when some of the riders do want to step up into a more powerful machine or go to a runabout, they do sell their equipment off. So it does become affordable for a new person to get into that type of field, to buy someone's ex-race gear. And mainly the skis out here, you'll see are mainly all Yamaha Superjets. They are the very dominant craft on the stand-up.
It certainly seems to be working for our man here, Scott Hunt. He's done a superb job out in front, kept it out in front the whole time. Look how fit he is. He's prepared to argue the whole way, lapping competitors and simply choosing his line any which way he likes, and away he goes. And that's Machine X, Jeff Gannon, currently sitting in 4th place. But your leader really has shot this to pieces. Scott Hunt, a great performance from him. Look at this as he makes his way around lap competitors. I think he's just having a good time.
Yeah, he's just cruising now. You can see he got a little bit tight on the back straight, started to stretch the back. You can see he's just standing up. He's looking back now. just taking it easy. I think he's going to cruise to an easy victory here, Scott Hunt.
Yeah, well, it certainly looks as if he's enjoying himself out there. Great victory. He certainly has worked for it. The fitness has paid off for him. Gets across the line, takes the win. Scott Hunt ahead of Colin Richardson, and Christian Gadis will take out a great third place. Women's runabout class set for a start here at Cables. Tim, some interesting riders out there, some of them super quick against the men, and they should go hard in this.
Yeah, Suzanne London on 13 will be exceptionally good, as well as Jenny Harrison on 103. Just watch for the start. Jenny Harrison's always a good hole shotter, along with Jenny Harker. She'll be up there as well.
Well, it certainly looks as if the hole shot seems to be the game here. If you can get away and get some clear water for yourself, you can at least see where you're going for a start. But the girls are very quick. Now, surely they have an advantage as well with a weight advantage. I mean, you're talking about power to weight ratio in all forms of motor racing. It's got to apply to this.
Yeah, sometimes a lighter rider can always get off the start quite well if they've got a good technique.
Well, obviously, some of them have better technique than others. Again, it comes down to some practice. But ultimately, this class of racing is where you can afford to get in, have a bit of fun, and if you feel like it, you don't have to race the craft. You can always take it out and have a bit of a social.
Yeah, as we said before, they're only a limited modification craft, so you can use them on weekends, and most people do get out and about in the surf and in the river and really enjoy their weekends.
Not only that, I suppose you can also run two different riders on the same machine, given that you want to run in different classes. So, you know, a family can in fact get themselves out there with one craft. A couple of different competitors can have a run while the rest sit back and enjoy the sun.
Yep, you can run the women's, and the men can run in limited runabout, and you can have a good family day out.
Well, it certainly looks as if the action is what all this is about, having a good day out. Very much a family sport. Let's just have a look at them. That is Jenny Harris on screen, and she seems to be in control of this one just at the moment. But it really does come down to being a family sport, doesn't it, Tim? I mean, there's just so many families involved, and not just in ski racing or watercraft racing. In so many forms of motorsport, it seems that the family orientation towards getting out there and everyone being involved is a major part in the 90s.
Yeah, and you generally find that a lot of families can do quite well, as we see Julie Walker here on screen, just here in the chop, getting the ski up a little bit high there. She's still got it in control, and she'll just lay it hard into the corner there. Quite good control. Julie's actually one of the senior people in the club, and her and her boyfriend Paul Hawker have a great family day out. You know, Hawkster rides in the sport class, and Julie gets involved with the women's, so that's what it's all about.
Well, it certainly seems that everybody enjoys getting out for a day out, and this is just so different to any form of motorsport that, well, I'm personally used to seeing, and it definitely has to be something that's worth trying. I've got my hand up, I want to have a go, so if anyone's offering, put me on your craft. I'd really like to see what this is like. I have ridden a jet ski, but it was such a long time ago. Things have changed dramatically. I mean, it's obvious to me that this really has become a sport here in Australia that's growing, that's producing competitors that are allowing us to compete on the world scene. And your brother, in fact, is heading over to the Worlds very shortly.
Yeah, and we can also see his wife there, Susan London. She's been quite competitive in the other class. She's in this. She practices a lot. We can see her there. The craft just dipped in a little on the nose, but she corrected it quite well there. She does get out on the river and practice a lot with my brother. And I mean, like we were saying, it's a family sport, and you find that the families also do quite well on the racetrack because they can train a lot together.
Yeah, I suppose it makes a big difference. Look, you've just got to have seat time. It doesn't matter what it is. As we have Jenny Harrison across the line for the win, ahead of Julie Walker and Jenny Harker. So if your name started with J, you're probably going to do okay. Limited Sport getting set for a start. This is a big field. In fact, I think we've got 15 competitors lining up for this one. Who would you put your money on, Tim?
I definitely have to go for someone like Freddie Watson or Andy Lang. They've been competitive through the whole season. Freddie Watson, definitely a rocket ship out of the gate.
He's a good starter. He's also very aggressive once he's out in front. Let's see how they go. A nice clean start. Everybody getting away. It just seems, Tim, that if you've got the drive to the first buoy, it really is going to help.
Yeah, we can see Andy Lang there comes around, but I think someone's just tucked under the inside of him, so now he's going to have to deal with that wash.
Yes, we've certainly seen some action in this particular class previously, and I'm looking forward to just seeing how Fred Watson holds out Andy Lang. Andy Lang, very aggressive, did get the whole shot in this one, and we've seen some spectacular riding from this particular class. It strikes me that this is a sort of a class where if you can cut it, you're going to go a long way in this sport.
Yeah, the sport class is a very aggressive style to ride in. As we can see, there's always a lot of craft out on the track, and you have to use a lot of body English out on these craft.
Well, Lang looks strong, and we've seen him in action before. He has been fast. Right now, that is Keith Campbell on screen, 57. He looks pretty stylish out there. These require a slightly different style, don't they? I mean, when you're looking at a ski where you're standing, and then you're looking at a runabout when you're sitting, these are sort of half and half, and you really do have to make sure that you keep the craft a little more upright.
Yeah, the sports class boat are very similar to a road motorcycle, where you have to use a lot of lean in. You'll see the riders actually lay right into the craft, and they don't require a lot of steer.
Yes, given that you do get into trouble, I suppose opposite locking with such a high centre of gravity is probably going to send you high side. We've already seen that a couple of times. But needless to say, there's action aplenty around here. Look at some of the dices a little further afield. They really are starting to carve each other up. You know, this must be one of the best parts about this sport, is that you can race so closely and, you know, you can touch craft without coming to grief. It really is a sport where it can get pretty physical out there without getting dangerous.
Yeah, sometimes the craft do actually bump, as we can see here on replay. Looks like Andy Lang on the inside with Freddie Watson coming right round the outside there. We can see the craft probably raced within 2 or 3 inches of each other then.
Well, I was having a good look at Andy Lang, in fact having a look to see where he was looking, and he sort of was having a bit of a look there at Freddie Watson and saying, well, I think I'll wait until I see you before I turn into the corner. Again, on the replay, just look at some of this action further afield. Now, if you look to the rear of this little group, there's plenty of air, there's plenty of water, there's plenty of action. All you've got to do is figure out exactly where it all is. Look at the air that's coming off some of these craft. And as we've talked about before, Tim, they don't steer, they don't turn, and they don't go forward unless they're in the water and getting some water for the jet.
Yeah, as we said before, once they're in the air, you've got no control. So the idea is to try and keep it hooked up. Because there are 15 boats in this race and the course is tight, that's why we can see the race really roughing up.
Geez, Andy Lang there's looking strong, isn't he? I mean, he is really starting to chop into corners and really make some ground. I think right at the moment, though, Freddie Watson, he's looking strong. And I think also we've got Keith Campbell up there. He's going well. He seems to be doing it fairly easy. But the point is that if you have a look at Andy Lang's style, he is very aggressive. He really does tip the craft in and waits for that late apex.
Andy Lang, he's really come of age this season. We can see he's always competitive and up there. But Fred Watson, definitely an aggressor in the sports class.
Oh, there's little doubt that Fred Watson is definitely the gun in this game. But either way, like Andy Lang, I think he is strong out there. And right at the moment, he's sitting back in second place. They're on their final lap and heading for the checker. You know, the interesting thing about this class is that I think if you went from, say, ski to this and then on to the runabouts, that what would be the right progression?
Yeah, a lot of ski class riders can adapt to a sports boat quite well, and then thus the sports boat riders can adapt to the runabout quite easily as well.
And how many don't start on skis? How many go straight into this class?
Yeah, you'll find most of the new riders coming into the game now will just opt straight for the runabout.
Yep, so the skis really are a specialised type class. Well, the action continues at the front. We've got Keith Campbell, who has just lost the lead, sitting back in second. Now, that's Fred Watson. Gee, he looks pretty keen, doesn't he? Waving to the crowd. I don't think that was such a good idea. He has almost thrown the lead away. Has a bit of a look back at Keith Campbell there, and he's not too happy about that. I don't think he'll do that again, Tim.
Yeah, a little bit cocky there from Freddie. Thought he had the lead quite easily, as we saw. Took the hands off the bars. Has a bit of a spin. Nearly allowed Campbell to take the win.
Limited runabout now set for a start. This again, a different class, Tim, and involves a little bit more in machinery.
Yeah, we can see the limiteds are similar to what the women ride, and they're only limited modifications, standard production craft, and no internal motor modifications.
Now we've got a bit of a ring in here. Here's Gary London Jr. riding in this particular class. I think he's just looking for a bit of practice out there. We'll see how he goes. Now his ski is not as fast as this.
No, he's riding a dead stock machine. You'll see him on craft number 13, which is the craft his wife Susan London rides in the stock class.
So he better not crash it.
He better not damage it, because they both use it.
Yeah, okay. Let's have a look at them as they settle in for the run. And really, when it comes down to this type of racing, I suppose one thing that you really have to do is to come up with good machinery preparation. You just can't beat it. And there's so much water, so many other elements that can affect the performance.
Yeah, there's a lot of underwater gear on these craft. They have intake grates and ride plates, and different brands and different types of grates and scoop can affect the handling of the craft.
All right, let's have a look at them as they head around. And guess who? That is our man, Fred Watson. Boy, this guy does some riding, doesn't he? I mean, at the end of the day, he'd have to be exhausted. Win, lose or draw, you cannot beat seat time. That's what he's getting, and it seems to be working okay for him. Let's have a look.
That's Andrew Toff there on the Polaris on the number 1 boat. That's actually Gary London's stock practice boat, but Andrew Toff's sharing the seat on that one.
It's almost like Avis Rent-A-Car out there at the moment. There's different riders on different machines. They're all in different classes, win, lose or draw. They're all out in this one, the limited runabout, and that was Gary London Jr. They're sitting in about 3rd place. Fred Watson on screen, 51, is in the lead. And have a look at this for the style of Gary London Jr. This man headed overseas to represent Australia in the world titles. And with that kind of style and that kind of determination, I'm sure he's going to go hard. Look at that. Absolutely spectacular from that machine. And remember, that's a stock one.
Yeah, he's just kept that thing wide open through the zigzag there. He just hasn't let off the throttle at all. We can see Freddie Watson there. He's opening up the lead. He's just looking behind. Back there a little bit to probably Daryl Kemp and Jason Lane there in 3rd.
I'll be wondering to see whether our man Freddie Watson decides to take a hand off the bars and salute the victory that he hadn't quite gotten in the race just before. I don't think he'll do that again somehow, but either way, he looks pretty strong out there. Again, getting plenty of air. Look at this. As it bounces from wave to wave, that is a lot of air. Now, there's only one way you can get that much air, and that is speed, because the waves are just not that big. He is using plenty of horsepower, got the throttle absolutely wide open. And plenty of interest here in Daryl Kemp as well. Oh, how close is that? Gee, I tell you what, that's, if it was a motorcycle, you'd be checking out the tread on the front tyre. Either way, I think he was probably thinking to himself, good Lord, I'm about to be run over by my own ski. Can't wait to see that one on replay. Either way, that was very close. Here it is.
Yeah, Daryl Kemp coming into the turn here. Pitched the bars. Looks like his hands just snapped off the throttle here, and it's just like virtually high-siding. We can see his right hand was off the throttle. When you let off the throttle, these craft will just shut off.
Yes, it's obviously a matter of momentum being lost immediately, and almost flung him over the front of his own craft. Fairly embarrassing situation to find yourself in. Either way, he managed to drive out of it. Final lap heading now to our man Watson. Looks pretty strong. He's done a very, very good job. He's been very busy here all day. And let's have a look and see how Gary London Jr. is going. I think he's sitting back in 3rd position right at the moment. It is Fred Watson's day. And geez, he's pretty fit, Tim.
Yeah, Fast Freddy they call him. He rides a lot of craft. As we can see, there's not much of him, but he surely is a super athlete.
Well, it's certainly working for him. And that's London Jr. there, I think, on machine 13. Looks pretty strong out there. You know, when it comes to moving into the World Series and the World titles, you've just got to be so much on the pace. Maybe a little bit of luck will come into it as well. Not that those in motor racing really believe in good or bad luck, but maybe good luck is just an absence of bad luck. Anything can go wrong, and as we have already seen in his class, Gary London's class, we're talking about, he had a DNF with a very simple failure. The checkered flag, though, has gone to Fred Watson. No luck in this one. Daryl Kemp comes 2nd, and Gary London Jr. on a standard machine, gotten up there for 3rd. Pro Modified skis about to get set for a start. Big field for this one, Tim.
Yeah, big field, probably 15. Watch out for Scott Hunt, Kristen Gadis, Mark Pulowski, and Kristen Gadis. They're good hole shotters out of the gate.
It'll make a big difference in this particular game. Now, with this, surely, you've got to crouch low in order to keep the weight down low and get some good drive. Look at them accelerate. How about weight-wise? How does a ski compare, say, with a runabout?
Yeah, the craft are around about half the weight of a runabout, and they can accelerate very fast, but the hard thing is to stop it from bouncing.
Yes, I suppose you've really got to work hard on the arms and legs. In fact, your arms and legs do become shock absorbers, similar to a motorcycle. The fitter you are, the more you can do with the craft, put it where you need it to be. Scott Hunt's doing okay, though. He's managed to get out of the hole pretty quickly, and you can see how quickly they spread out as well. I suppose a lot of it comes down to, first of all, technique, but then again also equipment, horsepower.
Yeah, the guys with the big horsepower out the whole shot, as we saw, can just really drive hard and really stretch probably 6 to 10 lengths out of the gate.
Now, this is very spectacular, the stand-up skis. As I've said, I have ridden a stand-up ski, and as I remember, it was absolutely exhausting. Have a look at this on replay. Now, you cannot tell me that this is not commitment to a corner, and have a look where he's actually looking all the way through the corner. He's not concerned where the ski itself is. What he's concerned with is where he's going to be as he comes out of the corner, and that applies to any form of motorsport, bike racing, car racing, or, in this case, jet ski racing.
We can see Colin Richardson there on replay. He's quite smooth in the turns. We can see him swap feet. He's a very smooth rider, Colin Richardson, and that's why he's out in front. Just dipped it in a little bit. He still kept it under control.
It certainly looked pretty spectacular out now. What you were talking about there quickly was the feet changing, so that you actually have a leading foot and a trailing foot, similar to, say, the surfboard riding, or in fact the way you would ride a ski.
Yeah, you'll notice the riders have their left foot forward for a left-hand turn, and then they'll swap and put the right foot forward for a right-hand turn. We can see Scott Hunt in position now, so it keeps their body weight towards the outside for the corner.
Yes, I suppose it really is a matter of getting the right edge into the water and then being able to drive on out and keep your weight low. And that's where it really has got to hurt after a couple of laps, trying to keep low on the craft. As we've said before, and we've seen before, towards the end of the race, the guys start to stand up, just trying to stretch the back, stretch the legs. But of course, you've got a problem with namely another competitor trying to overtake you. You really don't have that luxury. You either get on with it or get beaten. Having a look now, that is our man ex-Jeff Cannon. He's looking okay as well. But Hunt, he's up there. This class really seems to me that everyone always seems to think of jet ski racing as particularly these craft. But in fact, these are only one of quite a few different classes, aren't they, Tim?
Yeah, well, initially, jet skis were the only watercraft you could buy. Now, personal watercraft has expanded into that many different varieties. You've got sport and runabout. But everyone still considers the jet ski as the ultimate watercraft. We can see there Richardson getting a little tired. We've seen him arching the back. He's a very tall guy, so you can see he has to lean over a lot to get down on the bars, whereas someone like Scott Hunt or Kristen Gadis, who are small, they don't have to lean over as far.
Now here's an interesting situation. We've got the split course, Tim. Explain what's going on there, because Scott Hunt has just taken the other option, hasn't he?
Yeah, Hunt went rocketing into the other split. We saw Richardson there have a bit of a spill, and I think he's going to pay the penalty as Scott Hunt's come out of the inside split in front.
Well, it certainly worked for Scott Hunt. Richardson now back into second. We've got a bit of a replay here on Richardson. Let's see what he's getting up to. Look at how tall he is. It really does make life a little difficult. Different view there of where he was getting into trouble. Win, lose or draw, this man is now winning. Scott Hunt certainly made the right decision. Tim, it's a matter of picking the right water at the right time, isn't it?
Yeah, we saw Richardson went for the outside course, and Scott Hunt knew he couldn't take him on the outside, so he went rocketing into the inside, and it obviously paid off, and he came out in front.
Well, they're on their final lap. Now, that's Scott Hunt just making his way through some lap competitors. Now, if you had a look that time, Scott Hunt is looking tired. I think Richardson at the moment is possibly a little bit stronger. He is really going to have to fight back if he wants to do this. He's only got about 3/4 of a lap, but either way, I think Scott Hunt is starting to tire. But then again, maybe he's just the consummate professional, knows he's got the lead, has had a good look around to see what the situation is. You only have to win by the smallest amount.
Yeah, we can see Scott Hunt, I think he's just cruising there. We can see he's a smaller competitor. He doesn't have to bend over those handlebars as much. He's just out in front. He knows it's the last lap, and I think he's going to cruise to an easy victory.
Well, he's picked it well, and he's fought for it. Richardson really was doing a good job. Oh, I tell you what, that was a bit close there for Hunt. Either way, I think he's probably just getting a little bit tired, but he's in control of it. He knows that he's definitely got this. Oh, gee, I tell you what, I've just Murray Walker the poor boy. I mean, here we are looking towards the final flag, and he's on the run for it, but he is really struggling. Tim, fitness comes into it, but either way, I think he's exhausted.
Yeah, I think all the riders are in this final of the Pro Mod. It was a 10-lap race, and we can see all the riders showing great exhaustion.
Yes, it's very tough out there, but Scott Hunt, the victor, ahead of Colin Richardson and Christian Gadis. Big guns about to start now. This is the Pro Modified Sport. Gee, who would you put your money on? I think I'd go for Fred Watson personally. This man is charging today.
Yeah, Fast Freddy, he's definitely a rocket out of the gate. We've seen him before numerous times. He just pulls the whole shot. Watch out for Andy Lang. He's an up-and-comer.
Well, these two have gone head-to-head on so many occasions. You know, they really do know each other's tactics. Big start here. Have a look at this as they blast out of the hole. That's Paul Levin. Gee, he's gotten away smartly. Now, we've seen him in action before. Very, very spectacular. No fear whatsoever. And I suppose up against the likes of Watson and Lang, you really do have to pull the pin and hope for the very best as the field charge on through. Again, this is a long race for them, so they will be fairly tired towards the end of it, but they are sitting down. They don't have to crouch quite as hard, but they certainly do have to use the body language. They really do have to work the bars. Well, Levin looks pretty strong. He's got a nice start. Watch out for Fred Watson. He's already got 3 wins in the bag so far today in this class. I think he's probably the man on the money. Oh, we've got dramas further afield. Who's that? That's Darren Allen. He's got himself into trouble. He's got himself out of trouble. Can't wait to see what happened there on the replay. Oh, here it is now. Look, there's water everywhere. We've got a couple of competitors coming together. That is Allen up and out of the water, and the thing has virtually decided to go submarine on him. He's trying to hang on. It won't do it. Again, we've talked about it, Tim. It's that high centre of gravity that once you get past that point, it's all over. You've virtually got to try and start again.
Yeah, it's once these craft tip over, that's it. He's in the water. He's got to either try and pull the pin, keep the throttle on, and try and keep it out, which he did. If not, they're a very difficult craft to reboard the sports boats.
Certainly look that way. Well, Levin looks pretty strong out there. Bright boat, easy to spot, and he looks pretty strong. Now, one thing's for sure, Fred Watson out here seems to have done more laps than virtually all of the other competitors put together. It works for him. Right there, that's Andrew Lang, machine 12X. I'm not sure what the X means. It might mean X-Files, but it might mean excitement when you're talking about this man.
There's Fast Freddy there. We can see, like you said, he's clocked up some laps, but it's definitely paying off because he knows his way right around the course now, and he's certainly taking a good lead.
Well, that's all he need do, really, isn't it? Just get himself that break. Look at the speed of them down the back straight. They really are quick. Can't wait to see the Unlimited boys when they'll be out next. Either way, it's very spectacular, and it's easy to watch. If you're sitting on the bank, plenty of crowd here enjoying all the action. Sitting back on the bank, it's not hard to catch all of the action. Very much a sport made for television or for the spectators.
Yeah, you can see the whole racetrack ahead, and it's very easy to keep a track of who's in front. As we can see there, Freddie Watson absolutely just opening up the lead. As I said before, he's a very aggressive rider, and he will not let off the throttle until he's in that number 1 spot.
Or as we've seen before, he thinks he's got it shot to pieces, takes his hands off the bars and gets himself into trouble. That's Levin on screen. I like the style of this man. The first time I saw him, look at this, really hooks it in, then drives it out, a la motorcycle racing. That is very similar to a road racing style. We've talked about motocross styles of riders. He looks like a road racer. We'll call him the Kevin Swantz, I reckon. He looks spectacular hanging off the side of the machine, and there's action all the way through the field. That's Peter Middleton, machine 12. Look at him, he's getting a bit of a rough time there, but he's hanging on, doing his thing. They even open their knees out into the wind. Obviously not as dramatic as a motorcycle racer, but it does help getting the weight off the side of the machine, get the shoulders in, and you'll notice that also similar to motorcycle racing, when they're tired they tend not to have the strength just to hang right off the side. Look at that. Now you cannot tell me that is not spectacular. It certainly looks like a mile of fun. Just having a look there, that is Mick Lane. Bit of a ring-in actually. That's supposed to be Kent Gilbert, but we're told that Mick Lane has decided to grab the keys. He's been let loose and having a good time.
Well, Mick Lane generally rides a stand-up, so he hasn't very much ridden a sports boat, so he's doing quite well out here.
Yes, I think there could be a change of ownership of that machine. Either way, he looks pretty good. Mick Lane having a good time, probably enjoying the fact that he gets to sit down a little bit rather than standing all the time on the skis. I believe that has got to be hard. This looks pretty difficult out there as well. And the interesting thing is that ultimately everyone who competes in this game has to prove that they do have the ability to control the craft before they get their race licence.
Yes, they have to do a knowledge test in regards to their licence, and they have to actually get their craft out on the water and prove to the officials that they can handle it around the track before they're allowed out.
Well, it certainly seems it works. It is a very safe sport. It is great to see that the APWA involved in training the juniors and making sure there are ways of getting yourself into the sport in a safe manner. They're on their last lap. Guess who's leading? Yep, Fast Freddie Watson. This man has been busy, and if he pulls this one off, it'll be 4 out of 4 in this class. A really strong performance as he charges around the field, giving everyone a riding lesson out there. The guy's fitness is superb, and his willingness to turn it on for the crowd, well, you just can't beat it. He really does look good out there. A great performance from him, and everyone in this class really starting to show some maturity, Tim.
Yeah, Fast Freddy, he's only a young guy actually. I think he only tops out at about 20 years old, and as you said, he's been in a lot of races, and he's certainly showing us a few of the older guys how to ride.
Okay, checkered flag time, and Fast Freddy takes it out. 4 out of 4 in this class today. Paul Levin in second, and Andrew Lang, his nemesis, we've seen that plenty of times, in third. Okay, time now for some jet ski action. We're at Cables Water Ski Park in Penrith, Western Sydney. These are the big guns, the pro modified runabouts. Speeds, well, up to 60 miles an hour in absolutely nothing flat. You're about to see that. They're in the starters' hands. With me in commentary, Tim London. Tim, this is a big class for action.
Yeah, just watch Gary London Jr. there on the Formula Marine boat with number 1. It just blisters out of the gate.
Certainly does. Look at that. He's gotten the whole shot, has gone on with it big time. As the field charge on through, it is worth remembering, better power to weight ratio on these craft than the superbikes. So these are fast, these are light, and they are weapon quick when it comes to acceleration. Just have a look at the action out front. Gary London Jr., this man is the reigning APWA Series champion and will be representing Australia in the world titles in just a couple of weeks' time. Well, the action is all the way through the field. Now, we've talked about how fast these craft are. It's a bit hard to imagine, but either way, they produce huge horsepower. Tim London, just what kind of power have these guys got underneath them?
Yeah, well, the machine that Gary London's riding, which is the Polaris SLX 785, would produce somewhere around about 140 to 145 horsepower.
Yeah, should be adequate for the job, as Rolls-Royce would say. Now let's have a look at them as they settle in for this one. I tell you what, this is a long race, and just having a look at who's been doing some winning in this particular class. Guess who? Fast Freddie Watson, the man who has been on the pace all weekend. Either way, it is Gary London Jr. out in front and doing it big time. This thing is fast, and remember, this man headed to the world titles to represent us. There he is on screen. Now, you just got to look at the aggression of this man. Absolutely spectacular. He really is flying on this craft, Tim. It is fast, and it looks like it really does perform. Look at it get into the corners.
Yeah, we can see on replay now in slow motion. He just throws those bars, she just drifts, he just kicks the bars sideways. That's just the skill to be able to hang on to that horsepower.
Well, it's certainly working for him. I think he's going to do Australia proud at the Worlds. Hopefully we can catch up with him when he gets back and find out how it all goes. Either way, it looks pretty strong for him out here. Brand new craft, Tim. A lot of development going into this one.
Yes, it's only a new craft. This is the first time this boat has been on a racetrack. So, you know, to be understandable if things go wrong, but I'm sure the FMR race team will certainly iron them out.
Okay, let's have a look. Currently leading is Gary London Jr., the man in second place. This is James Carr. Have a look at this thing leap out of the water. He's standing up, really using his body as a shock absorber. It seems to be working for him. He is absolutely flying.
Yeah, James Carr is currently running second, and last year he was the 1995 APWA champion, so he's no slouch behind the handlebars.
Absolutely not. The man on screen oh gee, what's happened there? Have a look at this. I was just about to say he already is the 1996 APWA champion, and something's happened there to London's machine. I'm not sure what, but Card, well, he doesn't need any invitations, has blown right on by. Now, as we had said, this is a development machine for London prior to going to the Worlds. Win, lose or draw, I'm glad they're doing the development here and not over there. But Carr looks strong and he says, hey, I'll take this one. He is the champion. He should be out there right up at the front of the field. That's exactly where he is. Bad luck for London. Not sure what's happened to the machine. They have had a couple of problems just with setup. Either way, as I've said, let's do the development here before you head to the World Titles. Daryl Kemp on screen. Now he's missed a buoy, so he will be forced to go back. That has really hurt him out there. You must go back and recover the buoy into the bargain. Here it is on slow-mo. Well, he just ran over it. The fact of the matter is not only do you have to go back, But given there's another competitor heading for that boy, you also must give way. So, fortunately for Daryl Kemp here, he has found himself with no one around and able to recover. But you can see just how much time one loses if you miss a buoy. And in this class of racing at this level, you simply cannot afford to do that. Well, he certainly managed to get himself into and back out of trouble. And one thing is for sure, Tim London, these things really will get you into trouble very quickly.
Yeah, the horsepower of the Pro mods can certainly pitch you in right on a wash, spin you out in an instant, and as we saw, Daryl Kemp found himself on the wrong side of the turn buoy.
Well, this is a spectacular class, no doubt about it. Daryl Kemp sitting back in second place, but your leader, James Carr, took advantage of the problems with Gary London Jr.'s machine, and he is absolutely flying, has probably half a lap lead as he heads for the flag. James Carr ahead of Daryl Kemp and Jason Lane for third place. Well, that wraps it up here at Cables Water Ski Park in Western Sydney. On behalf of Tim London and myself, Greg McShane, thanks for your company, and we look forward to seeing you in 1997 for the Hydrocross Series.